Your tenants are ready to leave the second you mention a rent hike, costing you thousands in vacancy and turnover fees. You do not need aggressive legal threats to fix this. By implementing a specific three-step communication framework, you can increase your rent by 10% while leaving your highest quality residents feeling like they secured a fair deal. Forget generic notices. We are diving into the exact psychology that keeps your best tenants paying more, the one that most landlords ignore, but it consistently keeps vacancy rates at zero. So sit back, grab a cup of water, and let us get to it. The first step to raising rent isn't the letter you send, it is the market research you do before you even talk to your tenant. Think of it this way. If you walk into a store and the price of a gallon of milk jumps from $4 to $7 with no explanation, you are going to switch brands. Housing works the same way. You need to provide the why before they ask. Start by pulling the rental data for your specific neighborhood from platforms like Zillow Rental Manager or Rentamator on May 15th, 2024. You are looking for a baseline. If similar two-bedroom units in your zip code are renting for $2,000 and your tenant is paying $1,700, you have a solid anchor. You don't bring up this data as a weapon. You use it as a reference point for market fairness. When I helped my friend Mark evaluate his duplex, he was worried about losing his tenant of 3 years. We looked at the data and found his unit was priced significantly below market for his city. Instead of just sending a notice, he sat down and drafted a simple one-page document showing the comparable units in the area. He showed the tenant exactly what others were charging for the same square footage. The result? The tenant understood the adjustment was based on reality, not greed. They renewed the lease within 48 hours without a single counteroffer. Now, here is where it gets interesting. The second method is about timing and empathy. Most landlords notify their tenants of a rent increase exactly 30 days before the lease ends. That is a huge mistake. It puts the tenant in a panic state. They feel cornered. If they only have 30 days to find a new place, their stress levels go through the roof, and they are much more likely to just move out of spite or necessity. Switch your notice period to 60 or even 90 days. By giving them 3 months of heads up, you shift the conversation from a demand to a planning opportunity. You are giving them space to budget, space to look at their finances, and most importantly, time to realize that even with the increase, your place is still the best deal in the city. A report from the National Apartment Association on February 12th, 2023 showed that lease renewals are 60% more likely when the landlord initiates the conversation at least 60 days in advance. It is about respect. When you respect their financial planning, they respect your business model. If you are finding this helpful so far, please hit subscribe. I drop deep dive guides like this every single week. If this is clicking for you, a quick subscribe helps me keep making these, and I promise the best method is coming up next. Okay, so that handles the preparation and the timing. Now here is the secret sauce. This is the one I've been saving for you. The third method is what I call the improvement value pivot. Most landlords just ask for more money without offering anything new. They want a return without giving a return. That is why tenants leave. Instead of just stating the new price, I want you to make one small, high impact improvement to the property before you send the renewal notice. It doesn't have to be a full renovation. Maybe it is a new smart thermostat that will save them $50 a month on their energy bill. Maybe it is swapping out those old, yellowing light fixtures for sleek, modern LED panels. Maybe it is as simple as providing a high quality professional cleaning service for the unit right before the new lease begins. Think about the psychology here. When you offer a small upgrade alongside the price increase, you turn a cost into an investment. The tenant sees the value they are getting for the extra $50 or $100 a month. My client, Sarah, had a tenant who was really hesitant about a 4% increase. We decided to install a new touch-sensitive kitchen faucet and a high-end shower head that week. When she sent the lease renewal, she mentioned the upgrades as a thank you for being such a great tenant. The tenant emailed back an hour later and said, "I really appreciate the new faucet. It looks great. The increase is totally reasonable. That one shift alone can save you thousands in vacancy costs, cleaning fees, and broker commissions." Let that sink in for a second. You are essentially buying loyalty with a $50 hardware store item. Most landlords are too stubborn or too lazy to do this. They think the rent increase is a one-way street. But when you bridge the gap with value, you make it nearly impossible for the tenant to walk away. Let's look at the numbers. If you have a $2,000 rent, a 5% increase is $100 a month. Over a year, that is $1,200. If you lose that tenant and your unit sits empty for just 1 month, you have already lost $2,000. That is nearly 2 years of your rent increases gone in 30 days. And that is before you factor in the cost of advertising, the time spent showing the place, and the risk of getting a nightmare tenant who stops paying altogether. So be smart, be proactive. Use market data to justify the rate, Provide 60 to 90 days of lead time to reduce anxiety and add a small tangible improvement to show your appreciation. You aren't just a landlord, you are a service provider. When you treat the relationship like a business, everyone wins. There you go. 3 real ways to raise your rent without turning your best tenants into ex tenants. That third method alone is a game changer. Once you start using the improvement value pivot, you will wonder why you ever did it any other way. If you got value from this, share it with someone who needs to hear it and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I have a guide coming up on how to identify the best contractors for those minor upgrades, so stay tuned. See you next time.